a few different websites offer a word of the day to help you learn more words that you might not otherwise encounter. I know I feel a tiny bit wiser with words like venacious in my vocabulary. A couple of weeks ago, on more than one Word of the Day website, the word that showed up was pandemic, a word most of us didn't have much use for until recently. Pandemic, an outbreak of a disease that occurs over a wide geographic area, and it affects an exceptionally high proportion of the population. As our country's national, state, and city leaders debate the severity and impact of COVID-19, the United States has made its way past China, past Italy, with the leading number of cases around the world. I've taken a break from listening to elected officials debating how or whether this pandemic is a long-term problem. What I've been doing instead is I've been watching the numbers. There is a coronavirus dashboard that constantly updates the numbers of overall confirmed cases, in addition to the deaths, recoveries, and severe cases. And it lists cases for the world, and it breaks it down by each country and even each of our United States. The site simply scrapes the data from the websites of organizations like the World Health Organization and collects it all in this one constantly updated place. This site was created by Avi Schiffman, who is a 17-year-old high school student from Washington State. He's always been into programming, and when he heard about the coronavirus, he thought that this would be a good project to scrape all this information and put it into one universally accepted place. He launched this website 3 months ago today. A lot has happened since December 29th and now. And for the last few days, I've been running his coronavirus dashboard in a browser in the background as I respond to emails, plan for online small groups, write today's service, sit in Zoom meetings, and all the other things that suddenly have me spending lots of time in front of my computer. And the numbers on this coronavirus dashboard are sobering and scary. I literally watched the United States increase its number of confirmed cases and move ahead of Italy. Just in the time it took me to write this sermon yesterday, more than 350 people died from the disease in just the United States, including 3 in Delaware. When I told my husband Eric about my constant monitoring of the numbers of diagnoses and deaths, he was like, "Why? Why would you do that to yourself?" And I think it's because it makes this pandemic seem real to me. You know, lots of people are stuck at home with a whole lot more time on their hands, but that doesn't feel like a worldwide pandemic. That feels more like a culture shift. We have gone from a culture obsessed with our busyness to a culture that is taking on new hobbies and creative baking and returning to board games and phone calls and long walks. There's a meme going around that says, after years of wanting to thoroughly clean my house but lacking the time, this week I discovered that the lack of time wasn't really the reason. And so I've been asking around to all of you, what are you doing during this time of worldwide pandemic? And those of you who are live streaming, you can offer your answers in the chat box if you'd like. Cinda says she's been doing more crafts. Janet and Richard have been taking long walks together. Dale and Bob are in a gin rummy tournament together. Lois is slowing down more, not so much rushing around, enjoying her regular activities at home, sleeping better. Nancy also reports more sleep, trying new vegan recipes, cleaning up the garden for spring, Dale is calling distant family and friends on the phone. Linda is crocheting an Afghan for her niece's girlfriend. John is spending time with family, doing woodworking and working on the AV team at church. Adris is completing online training to be a disaster mental health responder for the Red Cross, in addition to learning how to play Dungeons and Dragons, as Will, home from college, teaches Adris and Elise. Jan is helping her mom with jigsaw puzzles. Donna is doing spring cleaning, playing the recorder and Native American flute, playing Scrabble in Spanish and in English. Richard's spending time on stamp collecting and model railroading. Paul is cleaning his office and seeing what turns up that might have been missing for years. But not all of you are experiencing an abundance of time. Some of you work in healthcare, or at the grocery store, or the pharmacy, or in transportation, or other essential jobs, and you're busier than you've ever been. Some of you are suddenly working from home while also having a child or children who is suddenly at home, not at school, and you're juggling getting work done while also tending to your family's needs. Some of you have yourselves been struggling getting to doctor's visits, facing new diagnoses, if not COVID-19. Some of you are out of work, trying to figure out what less income means for you. Some of you have had to cancel trips to see family and are wondering whether, with travel restrictions and illnesses and aging, whether you'll ever see some of your family members again. Some of you are not able to attend memorial services for loved ones. Some of you are struggling to engage all the emotional and spiritual resources you have just to get through each day. Despite the walls between us, I see you. Despite resorting to phone and online communications, I hear you. Your church sees you and hears you. You are loved and you are held, even when it doesn't feel that way. I've been trying to get on my walks every day. Back when Lent started, I shared that this year I decided to walk every day, picking up trash in my neighborhood and looking for beauty. I'm going to be honest. I hate this practice. There are days when I cannot believe the kind of trash that is out there. Trash that points to addiction and suffering. There are days when I pick up so many plastic straws, I just want to scream. And although I wear gloves, don't think that at some point I didn't start worrying about the coronavirus and whether it still made sense to pick up other people's trash in the midst of pandemic. I'm glad, though, that I picked this practice. And I'm glad that I didn't know that there was a pandemic coming, because if I had known, I would have tried so hard to pick a practice that would somehow save the world from this virus. I don't even know what that looks like, but I would have spent way too much time trying to find out the perfect spiritual practice for a COVID-19 Lent. But instead, I picked up this practice. I pick up trash and I look for beauty. I pick up trash and I look for beauty. And on my worst days with this pandemic, those days when I want to cry at the numbers or scream at our national leaders, on those days when I cannot do a thing to save the world, I pick up trash. I walk along the street, I pick up a can and I throw it in my bag. I pick up another straw and I put it in my bag. I pick up a potato chip bag, put it in my bag. One thing after another that still has no direct impact on this pandemic. But it is. It is the next right thing for me to do. And so I keep going. And I pick up the candy wrapper and the dirty comb and the broken tennis ball and the empty liquor bottles and the cigarette boxes and the empty plastic bags. And somehow I must have known how despairing picking up trash day after day can be, because I also committed to look for beauty. The unfolding of a tulip magnolia blossom, they look like flowers from heaven. Countless bright yellow daffodils that look like laughter. Nesting birds giddy about the promise of family. Bright blue sky. Did you know that if you look straight into the flower of a cherry blossom tree, that you can see a star deep in the middle of it? Sometimes we find wisdom or hope in a flower, or in birds, or in babies, or puppies, or in a poem, or virtual online trips to museums around the world, or a streaming couch concert. And sometimes, when we go out looking for hope, we just can't find it. And on those days, our work is especially hard. According to Albert Camus, hope is not found in a nation or in people or individuals. Rather, it is awakened, revived, nourished by millions of solitary individuals. Millions of solitary individuals. This word pandemic comes from the Greek word pandemos. Pan meaning all, demos meaning people, all people. Pandemos, all the people. Pandemic is a thing that is felt by all the people. Disease is implied in our use of the word pandemic, but COVID-19 isn't the only thing that has the capacity to impact all people. Our human capacity to revive hope is astonishing. No one of us is meant to save the world. Instead, this is our moment, right here and right now, to do the next thing we can do to awaken, revive, nourish hope. And that doesn't mean that we set out to make people feel better or provide a false sense of assurance that everything's going to be great, or that they're not going to get the virus, or that the finances will balance, or that their beloved will not die. That's not how our faith works. Instead, we believe in a hope that says that we are not going to let despair get all of our energy. We are not going to let despair be the only experience of those around us. And that's why we advocate for everyone, recognizing that the most vulnerable among us are the hardest hit by this pandemic. Those whose health is compromised, those with lower financial resources, those who are uninsured or underinsured, those who are undocumented, those who are experiencing homelessness or food insecurity. That is why our congregation's team of volunteers for Emmanuel Dining Room found a way to still provide food for those in need, despite the chaos and uncertainty of this time, because they felt their faith was urging them to awaken hope. And that's why so many of you are reaching out to one another and staying connected to those who are especially isolated right now, offering to bring supplies and groceries to those with compromised immune systems, because you know your faith is urging you to revive hope It's why so many of you are donating whatever dollars you can to support nonprofit organizations, businesses, individuals, and staying home and practicing diligent hand washing and desanitizing because you choose to nourish hope that another day will come. When we cannot naturally get to wisdom and hope on our own, we are simply meant to do whatever little thing we can do to manufacture it. Go for a walk, play a board game, sing, smile. This is our moment, right here, right now, to do the things that cultivate life and connection and love and healing and strength and leadership, compassion, joy, wonder. Even while the realities of a worldwide pandemic are constantly running in the background. We are a people of faith. We are those Buddhist prayer wheels ever spinning out prayers of compassion and love and peace and joy over and over again, steady and committed and unceasing. Some weeks ago, I asked you a question. I asked you this question before I knew we were heading into a pandemic. I asked you this question before how I would know, how deeply I would need your answers to this question. I asked you a question posed by my colleague in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Reverend Jake Morrill. If you could whisper 3 words into the ear of a newborn child, knowing that those 3 words would guide that child's life for the next 100 years, what 3 words would you whisper? Only 3 words, no explanation. And good, defiant Unitarian Universalists that you are, some of you sent me these long explanations with your 3 words. And when I asked for only 3 words, some of you sent me 5 words or 4 words. Another refused to participate because there were not 3 words perfect enough to utter to a child whose personality was not yet formed, whose path we could not yet know, whose needs were nothing we could predict. But yet some of you took the risk to simply offer 3 words, imperfect as they might be, to make the path a little bit smoother, a little bit brighter, more colorful, more sure. And despite all of the wise things that I have tried to gather over the years, stuffed into my gourd, the wisdom I give back to you on this day is the perfect reassurance that all of you offered me. May this wisdom guide you, and may these intentions flow forth steady and streaming into a world in need of such wisdom. You are loved. Share your wonderfulness. You are enough. Love, learn, respect. You've got this. Love everyone always. Kindness, integrity, strength. Cherish your world. Hopeful, gentle, kind. We are one. Patience, knowledge, love. Empathy, self, others. You are perfect. Love, laugh, respect. Love, kindness, hope. You will survive. Always be kind. Love, learn, act. Find love beneath. Never give up. You are you. First, love yourself. Welcome, little one. Be at peace. You are powerful. With compassion and love, just be you. Love your neighbor. God is love. Boundaries and connection. You be fierce. Eat dessert first. Be your best. Bless the world. You are amazing. Brace yourself, kiddo. You are sufficient. Love is enough. Always choose love. Courage, compassion, connection. Slow, deep breaths. Everything is love. This is it. You belong, love. Follow your gut. Live long and prosper. You are wanted. Believe in yourself. Freedom is priceless. It's all holy. Beauty, truth, love. You are important. Give, learn, grow. Read, evaluate, think. Don't ever say, I can't. Always follow your heart. We love you. Always question everything. Be the change. Explore, adapt, love.